The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking 1951's The Thing from Another World. Welcome, everyone, and thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're talking the original 1951 film, The Thing from Another World. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader is here. What's up, dude?
I'm really fucking wasted.
I know. We've pre-gamed the shit out of this episode, and we're doing great.
I love it. It's good. Black and white, cigarette smoking.
Oh, dames.
Oh.
Terrible aliens.
Crazy aliens.
Government conspiracies.
Everybody's dressed up good. You know, I love it. Good stuff.
Jude is also here.
Hello!
What's up, Jude?
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I can't wait to talk about the movies today.
I know. There is a character in this movie that I swear to God, as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh, that's Jude. And I can't wait to talk about it.
I didn't even see it until you were like, yeah, she's you. And I was like, oh, she is.
Yeah. She's amazing. I love her. She's my favorite character in the movie.
Aww.
Matt Cadish is also here, the producer of the show.
Yep, this was an interesting watch to get to see the movie that came before the John Carpenter classic. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of interesting history with this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. It's the first watch for me in 1951. I've never seen this movie. And previous to this podcast, I have also never seen John Carpenter's The Thing. I watched it twice, and I cannot wait to talk about it. So that's going to be the sequel to this video. So if you're watching this video and you're brand new here, like, subscribe to this channel, and then we're going to be reviewing the John Carpenter's The Thing next after
with
this.
Kurt Russell.
With Kurt Russell.
So you're brand new to the things?
Yes, I am.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
I am. I purposely didn't watch The Thing from John Carpenter because I knew we would cover it on the podcast, and I was like, okay, I have to wait.
Full disclosure, first time for me for this 51 version.
Mm-hmm.
And it might as well have been a first viewing on the Kurt Russell one as well, because I do remember sort of watching it, but I was like 12.
Huh. Okay.
So
You haven't watched it since?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So, fair warning, spoiler alert for 1951's The Thing from Another World. If you haven't watched it, that is the actual title, is The Thing from Another World. It's they shortened it for the John Carpenter version.
Well, no, they actually, so they added From Another World to this movie.
Oh, really?
Because at the time there was a song out called The Thing, and Howard Hawks didn't want to have the movie confused with the song, and so he just appended that on there.
I did not know
Was
that.
it about the Addams family's cousin?
I don't know.
I think I know this song. Something, something, the thing.
I don't know.
I know this song. I think I had it on a record of like a compilation record. And as soon as he said that, I was like, no, yeah, I know that song. Pop it in the comments.
To the Googler.
Googles. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get right back into the original 1951, The Thing. So stay tuned. Welcome, everybody. Hey, if you guys would like to support what we do here on the podcast, you can go to saltynerd.com/DC and download a mobile game called Dragon Champions on your Android or Apple device. It's a super fun game to play, very easy to pick up and just do in your spare time. Don't forget to go into the promo code area and type in our promo code SALTY to get access to a couple of new gadgets, a new character, some extra coins, kind of help you along your way to get you started. And then once you reach level 20, you can join our podcast guild ran by one of our podcast patrons, JT. It's super fun. Those guys go on a lot of raids and stuff like that. I'm still working my way up, but a lot of our club members and a lot of our guild members are up there at level 80. And if you guys want help getting there, you can go to our Discord app. We have a chat room dedicated to Dragon Champions where you guys can get new codes every single couple of weeks or so like that. Those guys are always posting new stuff to help you along your way, and also advice from masterclass people like Matthew Cadish here, who's level 80, who has been level 80 for a long time. Matt Vader is also now level 80 as well. The key is to just do your dailies. But anyway, type in Salty in the promo code area and help us at the podcast by just playing a free game. We'd really appreciate it. That's saltynerd.com/DC. All right, 1951, The Thing from Another World. Matthew, or not Matthew Cadish, Jude, take it away.
It's Jude.
It's Jude.
It's Jude.
It's Jude.
Juju.
Take it away.
1951, The Thing from Another World, rated approved with a runtime of 1 hour.
Wait.
Approved?
The rating is approved?
Approved.
What was that about?
They didn't have ratings.
That's
back then
PG.
either.
I was like, I love the 50s.
They were like, it's fine.
Approved.
They were like,
That's good.
someday people are going to go to Target and give them their credit card. She's going to go, approved.
So
This is, if you deem this is okay for your children to watch, we're okay with that.
what's the name of the rating system for modern movies? What is it?
MPAA.
APAA?
MPAA.
MPAA.
Motion Picture Association
It's
of America.
the beginning of the police state.
What what is your MPAA rating for this movie? Well, if you had to grade it upon modern standards.
Wait, what are his choices?
This is a G, dude.
Oh,
This is
G, PG, PG-13, R.
maybe a PG. Maybe.
PG?
It's really tame.
Okay.
Super tame.
Okay. Jude, what's your MPAA rating?
Approved.
Approved. Perfect. That's funny to me. I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but
it's
that
fine.
is hilarious. People in the 50s gave no fucks, gave no shits.
Yeah.
People like, you do you, man.
Well, like nowadays,
You do you.
I
And
think, okay,
we need to get back to that.
here's the thing. The reason why I would say this is at the bare minimum a PG rating is
Yeah.
because it shows people smoking.
Oh,
And you're not allowed-
And
not-
drinking.
You're not allowed to
my
do that
God.
anymore. You're
That's
not allowed to do
so
that.
lame. We live in a fucking
Bubble wrap.
religious bubble wrap church state. It's unreal. It's like, oh my God, they show smoking. Smoking will give you cancer.
You
It's
gotta
like,
protect the kids, man.
fucking unreal.
But
I'm
also,
really
we have
angry right
to have to protect the women who might be watching this because this bitch can fucking drink.
Oh, she
Oh
can
my
drink.
God.
She is sexually aggressive.
Hell
Yes.
Yeah.
love
And,
her.
and she's fucking quippy. She's quick.
Oh,
she's
she's
smart.
laughing
I
at this guy.
fucking love her.
Oh, can't wait to talk about this
now.
scene.
Can we time travel back to 1951?
Go ahead.
Good
luck with
I don't
that.
want to have to wear those bras.
I want to go back.
Okay,
I'll wear a suit. I don't care.
let's let Jude do the synopsis. We'll get
sorry.
into it. Go ahead, Jude.
Had a runtime of 1 hour, 27 minutes. This had a budget of $1.3 million. What do you think this made?
It had a budget of 1.3 million.
What?
Sir,
in,
yes,
in
it did.
51?
Yep.
What did
Really?
they spend the money on?
I mean, there were lots of dogs and helicopters.
I mean, there
and
was
aliens.
47 people in the cast.
They probably all went to Antarctica to
Are you
film.
serious?
Probably did.
Over $1 million
That's a lot of
for
money.
this movie?
What would that be in?
$1.3 million.
Pinkies.
Slash gigawatts.
There you go.
What would that be in modern money?
I don't know. What's the conversion rate for 1951?
10 million?
Does Kadish know?
Chat, get on it.
Yeah. Comment below.
I'm really curious what that cost.
Yeah, I think it probably equates to a little over $10 million.
That's a big budget
for that time.
1951.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea. I'm going to say it made just barely over $2 million.
Okay.
Being as this thing has spawned multiple
Remakes?
remakes and
3.
stuff, I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna say it tripled its budget.
Okay.
Triple. $3 million in 1951.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. People went to the movies a lot back then. So what they did to go to get the news and shit.
All right. Rated approved. Rated approved.
Approved.
Runtime of 1 hour, 27 minutes. Had a budget of $1.3 million with a box office of $1.95 million.
Barely.
Almost double.
Yeah, I was right. Just over 2 million.
Almost
$2 million.
Yeah, almost doubled its budget.
But that's not bad. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's great.
I mean, like, this was one of the earliest, like,
Box.
monsters come to take over the world movies.
Well, we
Yeah.
watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers recently, and like that whole movie, the message of that movie is like, "You're next. Watch out!
Oh my
Watch
God.
this, guys!"
I
And then
think this came out first.
did it?
Yeah.
When did Invasion come out? What?
It was in the 60s,
Yeah.
like 59.
So
Yeah.
just
wow.
to
This
interject.
is one of the first movies that was like, we're going to introduce a villain that has come from another planet
With
to
a
take over the
flying
world.
saucer.
Just,
Okay.
just to interject really quick,
Yeah.
thanks to our chat, thanks to Broba Fett,
Hmm.
1.3 million in 1951 is
$14.9
$14.9 million.
Thank you, Broba Fett.
Yes.
That's
So
awesome.
that's pretty cool.
That's good. That's a good amount of money.
For-
I'm
yeah.
shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. I did not expect this movie to cost that much in 1951
Mm-hmm.
dollars. That's a lot.
So this movie was one of 2 movies that Howard Hawks produced through his own production studio. And he was basically doing like an independent film.
Yeah, based on a book.
Based on a book. But one of the reasons why it had such a big budget was because Howard Hawks like really threw his weight behind this thing and wanted to make like this was like the I guess like Avatar of its time. like it was like a big budget sci-fi movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest.
This was like the E.T.
This was like this was a bunch of white dudes talking.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you compare
Everybody loved it.
It was pretty wild because they have the monster in it,
Barely.
but he's barely in this thing.
Yeah. It's all just
it's
the
just
group of
like-
army guys, and then you've got
And the scientists and army guys.
you got this.
talking.
Yeah. You got the scientist who
Two
wants to.
people died.
You want the you have the scientist group who wants to save the creature for scientific study, and then you have the army
Yeah.
who just wants to blow everything up.
Yeah.
And then you've got the monster, who's, I guess we'll find out in a minute, is actually a plant.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't even done the
Ah,
synopsis
spoiler.
yet.
Spoiler.
God damn it.
Dude, do you have a synopsis?
I do.
Take it away,
All right.
Jude.
Since nobody tells him anything, General Fogarty sends Captain Pat Hendry to a remote Arctic research station where there's a good-looking dame and a crash-landed alien to check out. In need of a good story, reporter Needle-Nose Ned the Head Scott tags along on the mission and gets more than he bargained for when the bloodthirsty alien gets defrosted and wakes up hungry. Captain Pat is looking to reconnect with Nikki Nicholson, a dame that can fucking drink, with a name that has the same kind of ring to it that Juju does. The last time Pat and Nikki hung out, he woke up hungover the next day with a note pinned to his chest. You'd think that a tough broad like that would be of use in the fight against an alien takeover, but Pat tells her to get back, and instead chooses the guy who faints at the sight of the story of the century and the guy who covered the frozen alien with an electric blanket to stand beside him in the war for Earth. Discuss.
I fucking love this movie.
Pretty fun,
It's
right?
not scary in the
Not
least.
even remotely close.
It has.
Nikki is the standout character.
That's the thing.
Fucking Nikki.
Fucking Nikki.
Fucking Nikki.
Listen, man, when I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, cool, the thing, whatever, and they're doing their army thing and this and that. And it's a very slow paced movie because it's made in the 50s. You're sitting there and you're like, okay, just waiting for this thing to kind of develop its own plot because they were so slow back then. They were like, we have to introduce the characters.
Uncle Tony's out of here.
Uncle Tony left. We got to introduce the characters. We got to introduce ourselves to the plot. We got to, it takes its time.
It does. There's a lot of crosstalk. There's so much crosstalk over top of each other that I legit thought that this must have been like mostly ad-libbed. But I asked Kadish about it because I knew he would look it up.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to. And he was like, nope, it was all scripted.
So
Yeah, so there are some directors who go for like the naturalistic conversation where they have like characters talking over one
It's
another.
hard to follow though.
Steven Spielberg made that mistake in the sequel to Jurassic Park, where he was doing that, and actually the actors hated it because they felt like they were stepping over each other's lines, and it was hard. Like as an actor, you want to react to what people are saying, and so like when you're trying to deliver your lines over top of other people's lines, it makes it hard to like kind of like pay attention and get those genuine reactions. So the actors are like, do we have to do this? And the director was like, well, this is how I want it to go, because they had so many characters on the screen that they were afraid that if they gave everyone enough time to basically kind of like deliver their lines appropriately, it would extend the runtime to the point where like it was just like too long of a movie.
I actually appreciated it I do agree. It is very difficult to follow if you're just like for the first time you're listening to it, because you don't know whose line is the important one to kind of like latch onto, because everybody's talking over each other. But it does lend itself to a more naturalistic, when there's 9 people in a room and everybody's got something to quip in, it makes sense that
Which
that's
is
how it would
why
be.
we limit our live streams to 4 people.
Yeah.
I love that everybody got at least a line in.
Yeah.
There are so many people at this.
There's a
Arctic
ton of people.
station.
Yeah.
It's like 40 people.
I can only remember probably about 4 of them.
Yeah.
It's like Nikki, the chick, and then the captain. And
How
then
many
like
women are up there?
2.
2.
There's the blonde.
2 Arctic beauties.
Yeah, there's the blonde chick who I don't know her name, but
Her
she's
name
on.
is Mrs. Something.
She's
She's
on-
married, so fuck her.
She's on the scientific side of
Mrs.
things,
Chapman.
and then there's Nikki who's on the army base side of things, and she's with those guys.
Right.
And Nikki is a fucking
Dude,
firecracker.
Dude, I love her. I want to marry her.
I love her so much.
Everyone knows about Nikki. They're like, yeah, there's a fucking dame up there that Pat can tell you all about. And he's
Dude.
like, all right, pipe down.
When he goes
and
up,
they're all busted its balls over.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like when the movie introduces us to Nikki, and she's like, laughing at how frustrated he is. Like, you left me there. I got blackout drunk and then I woke up with a note in my hands and everybody was reading it but me.
Yeah. Okay,
and she, the whole time. Go ahead.
He walks into, he's like, I gotta make my peace with this dame. I'm gonna show her who's boss. We haven't met Nikki yet.
Yeah.
He walks into a room all chest puffed up.
Yeah.
And she's like back on the chair like this.
She's chilling
like,
with her torpedo bra.
Yeah. Oh, her boobs are
What
so
is
pointy.
up with the torpedo bra?
It's a 60s thing,
had.
man.
That's all they had. She's like, hey, Pat,
It's
how
like-
was your... You're really upset still.
Yeah.
How was your trip?
She was laughing at him the entire time.
She thought he was a hoot.
Yeah.
He is a joke to her.
He's seriously pissed off. Like, genuinely, he's mad at her. And she's like, just relax.
She's like, we had a fun night.
We had a good
What's your
night.
fucking
We had a good night.
problem?"
I outdrank you. It's fine.
Yeah. And he's like, why did you do this? And she's like, I fucking told you. You don't remember?
Yeah.
And he's like, did you really drink all those drinks? And she's like,
Yeah.
Something. Did you really drink all those drinks? Mm-hmm. You didn't throw any away or anything? Not a one? No. Holy cat.
He was blackout drunk,
He
and
was
she's just
blackout.
tossing him
She's
out.
fine.
I love it.
It's us.
So go ahead, V. Go ahead.
I love alpha chicks like this. I
Alpha
do.
chicks.
She's an alpha. She's absolutely.
That's Jude.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
what's funny about this is that, you know, when we watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the type of women characters, you know, in there were like the norm. But Howard Hawks, the producer of this movie, he had this thing called the Hawks Girls. And he was well known for having like the sassy kind of like, you know, like women who like talk back to the men and
Firecracker
stuff like
dames.
that. Firecracker dames, exactly. And so like they would call them Hawks Girls. And this was this actress, Margaret Sheridan. It was someone that Hawks discovered, and he was kind of like mentoring her.
Yeah, she was a fashion model before this, right? This was her first role.
I believe that this was her first role, but she had been kind of like Howard Hawks had kind of taken her under his wing, and he tried to get her more roles after this, but she eventually decided to start a family instead of pursuing her career, and so she
She's
became
great
like a
in
mom.
this.
But this is kind of typical for a Howard Hawks film, where basically he has like the fast talking like woman who's, you know, more of a firecracker.
Tying up dudes and force feeding them alcohol.
Oh yeah, it was like a 50 Shades moment there.
Oh, God.
You know, she reminds me a little bit of, you know, I don't like her as a just on a political and stuff level. But if a modern remake would be like who's I can't remember her name, Tim Robbins' wife, girlfriend,
Susan
whatever.
Sarandon.
She's very Susan Sarandon-ish to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Thelma. Louise.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, one of them.
Louise.
But
Okay.
I could totally see Susan Sarandon in the same kind of role.
I just appreciated so much.
I love her. I love
Yeah.
this. I love this woman in this movie.
I appreciated so much that she was able to drink a captain in the military
Yeah.
under the table,
You know, it's like
and then walk away with a smile on her face
Still doing her job. She's like,
and talking shit the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
time.
she's a
This is
secretary.
a-
She's like, you need
Right.
notes taken?
Yeah.
this is a black and white movie.
Right.
Okay. I have never imagined this lady with anything other than red hair.
Okay.
Dude,
You know what I mean?
very brunette.
She's very brunette.
She's a redhead.
Okay.
She's absolutely a redhead.
All right. In the modern remake, she's
100%.
redhead.
She's 100%.
There's no women in the remake, is there?
No, not one.
Not one.
That's a travesty.
Not one.
It's funny because we watched the remake with Matt's parents this week.
Yeah.
And afterwards we were like, what'd you guys think? And his dad was like, there's no women in it. I don't like it.
You know, and
Just for reference, for people out there watching this, Kadish's dad is fucking badass.
oh, he's cool. Yeah, he's super
He's
cool.
awesome.
the best.
But you know what else I love about this movie?
Yeah.
We're at a North Pole station.
Yeah.
There's
Is it North Pole or South Pole?
It's
How's it?
North, it's North Pole in this
Okay.
movie. There's 57 people at this station.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are women. All the dudes are gentlemen.
Oh yeah, no.
Every
There's
single one of them
Yeah.
are gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
There's no overtones of weirdness.
dude. There's even a scene.
There's nothing what's the word?
Couth?
There's nothing inappropriate going on.
ungentlemanly.
Yes, and
So
I kind of like.
There's even a scene where one of the younger officers walks up to the captain and he's talking shit about the general because the general's making bad calls from like he's like backseat
back in Anchorage.
Yeah, he's backseat driving for these people, and they're like, "That freaking guy's a crazy asshole," and he's like, "Sorry, sir, I shouldn't have said that." He's like, "It's okay, Johnny, it's
Nobody
fine."
tells that guy anything.
Like that shit to me is like, oh man, I miss that kind of stuff.
You know what was the funniest part of this?
What's up?
Close the door!
Oh, dude.
Come in. Close the door. Freddie, do you suppose the Pentagon could send us a revolving door?
Yeah.
Every time they opened the door, I got cold. Every single time a door opened, I got cold.
I felt that.
What made me laugh too was the needle nose freaking pencil pusher guy who he's like
Needle nose Ned the head.
Yeah, Ned the head. He's in freaking he's in the North Pole and all he has is a suit and an overcoat on.
Are you talking about the reporter guy?
Yeah, the bald recorder.
He's like
reporter.
my favorite character.
You know what I liked about him the most was when he went to task with the military. And he's like, I gotta tell this story, John. What the fuck is wrong with you? I've got to spread this to the people. And he's like, I don't work for the people. I work for the U.S. military. He's like,
well, the military doesn't own this.
yeah,
story.
he's like, the military doesn't own this. I have to tell the people.
Well, I work for the people. I believe in a free press.
We're doing the over talking.
Yes, we are. That back and forth like hit home for me. I was like, yes, a good fucking reporter.
That's it. That's why I like this movie.
Yeah,
because the dialogue is like watching a good episode of the fucking West Wing.
It is.
The truth. We gotta get the truth out there.
You can't handle the truth, Ned. Shut the fuck up.
I love the West Wing. It's a great fucking show.
It's an amazing show.
It's
and they do that
so
over
well.
talking.
And
just like this.
Yeah, they do just like we're doing right now.
Just like we're doing right now.
And it's
probably driving Kadish nuts right now.
So good.
He doesn't know who to put the camera on.
It's so good. But yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, buddy.
It's just, but yeah, you're right.
Well, you know what's funny about the general? So every time someone opens the door in Anchorage, Alaska, and it's cold, like he's always like, shut the door. Like they're not even inside the room.
Yeah.
Like, shut the door.
Shut the fucking door.
And you know, like it's funny to see that, but like the entire time I was watching that, I was like, I wonder if that's where Tarantino got it for the Hateful Eight.
Shut that door. There's a goddamn blizzard out there. Close the door. You gotta nail it shut. You have to nail it shut.
Oh yeah, I do remember
like
that.
if that was like a little homage.
Leave it to
bit.
Kadish to connect it to something else.
No, but I
We've
dig
watched
that. That's
recently.
true though. Yeah,
so true.
it would be something that Tarantino would like take from a 50s movie or
Doing
whatever.
an over talking style of dialogue like the West Wing is a skill. That's hard to pull off.
Yeah, because you have to make sure that the important conversations are heard above the rest of it.
Yeah.
So you have to have your actors in the right frame. You have to make sure that their
That's all on
audio's
the mic levels.
the audio is higher for the ones that you want to be heard.
And it takes
You know your mic is higher than the rest of ours.
I know I did that on my own
and it takes a
because I'm the host.
Are you done?
No.
Quit
Do it
fucking
again.
over talking.
Do it again.
It takes a.
Do you want a sandwich?
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm done. No,
He hates it when people talk over him. It's
takes
hilarious.
It takes a certain kind of actor.
It does.
That can pull it off and do it right. You know what I
And
mean?
it must be super new for these guys because Cage said like the actors were like, why do we have to do this? This isn't normal.
But you know what? I feel like it's a 1950s movie thing. There's so many movies in the 1950s where people are over talking each other.
Is there?
I feel like there is.
Maybe I haven't watched enough 50s movies, but I felt like that was very specific to this.
Do you?
For me, I was
maybe
like,
I'm wrong.
Because to me, I feel like the over talking and like the multiple people discussing thing is like a Spielberg thing. Because I love Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and all these other freaking movies, and Spielberg did that, like Kadish mentioned, with The Lost World, where everybody was over talking each other. That's kind of what I grew up. I was like, oh, that's a Spielberg thing. But knowing that it came maybe originally from this, kind of like, oh, that's neat.
Well,
like, I like
you know,
that.
what's funny about this movie is that it actually inspired like a lot of like young filmmakers, like, you know, so for instance, this was a huge influence on Ridley Scott. And in fact, Alien is based on this story, where, you know, instead of an Arctic thing, it's like a spaceship and there's like there's an unknown alien going through there. But you got to understand that within the context of the time period in which this movie was made, this was very groundbreaking. This was a movie that was based on a short story called Who Goes There. Has very little relationship with the source material. Like actually John Carpenter's version was closer to the source material than this one was. But this was something that was very cutting edge at the time, and it it was revolutionary for a lot of like young filmmakers. John Carpenter watched it when he was a kid and had a big influence on him. Martin Scorsese, Ridley Scott, John Frankenheimer, all these guys cite this movie as being like a big influence on them. And Howard Hawks, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he did a lot of kind of like film noir, very like manly men. Like his big claim to fame was the movie Scarface. He also did Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, stuff like that.
Hold on a second. You're telling me that the director of Scarface was the director of this?
Well, okay. So Howard Hawks is on this movie as a producer. Like he was the one whose production company, Winchester Films, made this. And he pulled a Steven Spielberg in Poltergeist, where he was on set every day stealth directing this movie. But the actual director who's listed is Christian Nyby, which was Howard Hawks' kind of like editor at the time. Okay. And so for whatever reason, like everyone who worked on the set was like, Howard Hawks basically stealth directed this movie. But if you look at his body of work, Howard Hawks' body of work, you can tell that like this is like his film.
And,
so
first, Brian De Palma directed Scarface, right?
So Brian De Palma directed the remake of Scarface.
Oh,
so the original Scarface was a black and white thing about
I'm thinking of Michelle
I did not know this.
Can we do another original versus remake with Scarface?
I'm down.
We're definitely doing that.
Yeah,
for other stuff going forward.
So just so you know, like the original black and white Scarface that Howard Hawks directed, no relation to the Al
Capone or
Brian De Palma Scarface.
You're talking a 6 Drink Jude right now, and I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. Whatever. Scarface, same title.
6 Drink Jude.
6 Drink Jude.
No, if I remember correctly, like the Scarface that Howard Hawks directed had James Cagney as the lead or something like that.
Okay, real quick. The other thing that I really noted about this movie when I was watching it is like the really masterful, subtle humor that it has in it, especially amongst the army guys when they're like cracking jokes and stuff like that. Yeah. There's one scene that we just pulled up on the screen here a minute ago, where they were reading an article about, I guess it was about them and what they were doing on their on the base in the Arctic. And they're like, there's no such thing as UFOs, sir. And this, according to this article in the freaking Air Force magazine, section 8-27, 16,000, paragraph 2.
Scott is like, how do they keep scooping me?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the UFO for just a second?
I was just going to segue into the UFO and the aliens, so go ahead.
It's so bad.
Well, the UFO's fine. I have no issue with the UFO.
I think it's hilarious.
It's terrible.
It's a flying saucer.
They don't show it.
They do.
They show a piece of a thing sticking up.
No,
but they're like, this crash landing just happened. They get there.
And it's frozen.
Completely frozen.
Completely frozen over and flat.
It happened.
Except for like one little fucking tail fin.
The fin on it. But no, it happened.
And then they all go, let's be scientific about this and spread out and see what shape it is.
Blow it up.
It's a circle.
I did like that. That was kind of cool. It's like, oh yeah. Oh, they're all in a circle. And of course they're in a
They're all so excited that it's a fucking flying saucer too.
Yeah. They're all like, I got circled. You got circle? I got circle.
Yeah.
Did you get circle? Oh my God, we all got circle.
Let's circle jerk. No.
It's a circle. And then they all jerk off.
Yeah.
Last one to come wins. So what?
They did show this the like a overhead, not an overhead shot, but like a wide shot of the flying saucer after they had blown up the ice and they crawl down into it, and it's like this huge thing with all these antennas on it and all this shit.
I'm gonna go.
Thought it was super cool.
I'm gonna go pass out.
No, you're fine. Keep it with us, Muddy. Keep it with us. Come on. I enjoyed the hell out of that scene. I love them like discovering the flying saucer and then bringing back the thing. And what the one thing that really like was like wow factor for me is because I had never seen this movie before. I was tripping out, dude, when they were like talking about what the alien was after it got thawed out and they had like the hand and they were like, oh my God, this thing looks like it's a plant. Well, I didn't know plants could do that, sir. Well, yes, if a plant was on another planet and it evolved differently from us and it grew a brain, it'd be like a carrot with a brain. And I was like, oh my God, this is fascinating.
Killer carrots from outer space. Write that down.
Yes.
I love a scientist guy. Why do scientist guys always have like really very neatly trimmed whiskers, beards?
Oh, he had like the like
he had my face, but very neatly trimmed.
with the little. Yeah.
I have a question.
It's like, why is that a scientist thing?
Okay.
Why do they have like cool beards and like soldiers don't? I don't get it.
I don't know. But hold on, because the thing that I liked about this was, and it blew my mind, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I fairly recently, within the last 6 months, I listened to a podcast about scientific research into plants and how into plants and how they communicate with each other via chemicals and stuff like that.
They don't do this.
Okay, this is scientific evidence that they've come up with. I thought
Was it the fucking plants?
it was the fucking plants, Jude. I thought for sure that this is
Are you gonna make me feel guilty for eating a salad in a second?
No.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like, I thought this was new research. Like, I'm listening to this podcast in 2021 or whatever, and I'm like,
Are you Mark Wahlberg right now?
I'm like, this is fascinating.
Oh, no.
Oh no, it's the fucking plants. The wind is gonna blow the plants over here. The Happening. Hashtag The Happening. Fuck that movie.
Oh God, I hate that movie.
Definitely watch that movie.
Is that the Wind movie?
My point is, I thought this was all new scientific research. Here's a movie from 1951 where they were like, oh, this is old news. Don't you know plants communicate with each other via chemicals? And I'm like, do we just forget shit as a human population? We're just like, this is all new to. I'm listening to a podcast in 2021 about plants communicating with each other. Meanwhile, in 1951, they already knew about this shit.
1951, that information came from the communists. They were in the,
Anyway,
and they were like, don't listen to them.
Katie was going to say something.
Yeah. So what's funny is that in the original short story, the alien was a shapeshifter who was also telepathic, so he could like read people's minds and stuff like that. And the original concept of the thing in this movie was going to be closer to the book, but they couldn't figure out how to do the special effects for shapeshifting. So they were like, oh, why don't we just, change it into like a plant-based thing? So they came up with this concept, and the actor who played the thing, James Arness, he was actually so embarrassed because there's a reason why there are no close-ups of the thing in this movie. It's because the makeup wasn't very good. And he was complaining that he looked like a giant walking carrot. And he wasn't there for like the parts where they were explaining that like the thing's basically like a smart carrot.
It's basically a smart carrot.
and so like,
smart violent carrot.
Yeah. And so like Arness basically like he didn't even show up to the premiere because he thought like he looked stupid in the movie. Aww. So he never got the joke that like he was a walking plant. But it was a interesting kind of like deviation from the source material, because they basically turned the thing into Frankenstein as opposed to like something that's supposed to mimic the thoughts and looks of other people, because the book had like this great paranoia type thing going for it that John Carpenter's movie captured perfectly.
I would have had like some carrots sticking out his ears and the celery stalk sticking out the top of his head.
They kind of did though. With his hands, right? His hands with like little thorns on them
broccoli,
and shit.
Broccoli hands. Broccoli.
I have a question.
Hey, what's up?
So when we make our carrot villain movie.
Of course.
What we're doing? What?
No, we're making the Revenge of the Carrots.
Of the Carrots. Carrots from outer space.
Is this after
Carrot
Viking
Attack
Cop?
from outer space?
It's after Fuck You, Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
We got a trilogy going on, right? Fuck You, Meryl Streep, Viking Cop, and
it's the Salty Trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Attack from the outer space carrots.
It's gonna be
Gotcha. Anyway, continue on.
Do the carrots attack via? Okay, so the carrot looks like
the carrot is a root.
Yeah.
It's a root vegetable.
But does it attack you from just behind, like if you pull back like the stalk thing, does it have teeth? Or does it stab you from the pointy end of the carrot?
It stabs you from it inserts itself through an orifice.
I think that's the best.
That's the best way to go. Anyway,
that's I'm terrified.
It's gonna be a really scary
movie. What I liked about this movie, kind of getting us back on track, what I liked about this movie is the scientist who was trying to figure out what this thing was all about. He started planting seeds from the alien.
So if you take some blood,
and he's feeding it blood,
and connected to it,
and he's growing like these pulsating plants. And the captain's like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
He's keeping like a Dr. Frankenstein diary, and he's like, "Yes, blood,
yes.
the blood.
I gave it blood, and it survives."
I want to make love to it.
I'm like.
If you stick your penis in it, it's very good.
You'd be a fucked up scientist, you know that?
And you take your dick and you put it in the plasma with the alien spores, and you make some things. And
because it's your dog.
I can't.
Peanut butter.
I can't right now.
Speaking of dogs, the scene where the thing runs out to like the sled dogs and just starts like wailing on
I
them.
don't care
yeah.
for that
Yeah.
scene.
That was rough to watch.
And in fact, our dog did not care for that scene.
I feel so bad for you for the second movie that we're going to talk about this week. The John Carpenter's
Oh,
thing.
that was
because there's
that
a
was
lot
insane.
of brutality going on with puppies.
Yeah.
And it was rough.
I don't care for it.
I know. But I don't know. I had so much fun with the show. It is not scary in the least.
No.
I was not
It is
frightened
not.
at any point in time.
I took a little nap ski in the middle.
I did fall asleep. I had to watch it twice because the first time I fell asleep.
Same.
I fell
I
asleep.
had more fun with just the interaction between.
I did too.
Between
yeah.
Jude and the soldier guy.
Yes. Her name is
What's
Jude.
her name?
Nikki Nicholson.
Nikki.
Juju.
Nikki Nicholson?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's your name in fucking Meryl
know.
Streep.
Hey,
Nikki Nicholson.
Nikki, you're so hot. You want to go make out? Go make me a
That was my
sandwich and we'll
favorite
make
part of
out.
the movie. I didn't give a
Yeah.
shit about the rest of it, but I was like, I want to see more Nikki. Like, give me more of that because she is freaking on fire.
She's the one who really runs that North Pole out.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
She's out
She's-
drinking all the guys.
Oh, hell yeah.
She's the
a
freaking.
tough fucking broad.
Yeah.
And he's like, stay back with the others. I'll
She's-
save you,
you know,
baby.
She's Marion Ravenwood.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say she's Marion Ravenwood from Indiana Jones.
She
Yeah.
is. You can't
With-
outdrink her.
With red hair.
Yes.
She's a redheaded Marion Ravenwood.
I love it.
Are you all right?
I'm great. I'm like really, I'm really horny right now.
That's why I'm asking.
Jude's got cat ears on. Nobody knows why Jude's wearing cat ears right now.
We did Catwoman earlier. And
Anyway.
Vader wore them.
Strip away the rest of this movie. I didn't give a shit about the alien. I didn't give a shit about the freaking scientist or his captain, friends from the armies or anything like that. The two people that I really attached to was the journalist who was trying to take the freaking U.S. military to
Ned
task.
Needle Nose Myers.
Ned
Scott.
Needle Eyes Myers. And then Nikki Nicholson, who was just out drinking and out smoking every dude on the base.
Yeah.
Those are the two standout
You know what I
characters
like
for me.
about you know what I like about 1950s movies?
Go ahead.
The men are men and the women are women,
100%.
and they're both strong.
And they're all
and their
smoking
sexuality.
And they're all smoking.
And they're
Dude,
all smoking fucking
This-
Chesterfield cigarettes.
this scene right here
I
where they're
really
like,
want a cigarette right
he's
now.
like, come here, Nikki, I got to talk to you real quick. And they both pop out a cigarette and they start smoking and whispering to each other. I was like, I want to do that.
Did you see my tweet last night? Did you see my
No,
tweet?
no, I didn't.
I made a tweet. It's like, watching these old movies really makes me want a cigarette. And there's a scene where he's lighting a cigarette and she's smoking a cigarette and it's all right there and there's smoke everywhere. And I'm like, good God, there is a lot of nicotine
Every
in
time-
this scene right now.
Every
It's
time I
like,
get a
holy shit.
little bit chilly and I just put my jacket over my shoulders, I feel like this bitch.
Listen, man,
The-
I'm sorry. Smoking is fucking sexy. Okay, smoke. There's something cool and like there's like an oral fixation about fucking smoking a cigarette.
Can we talk
that is
about
just that's cool, man. I was like, I miss it. I
okay.
used to be a cigarette smoker.
Let's let Caters
just
get his
like-
word out, and then
Yeah.
we got to talk about the scene where he gets tied up. So Caters, go ahead.
There's a funny part in here where the radio operator, like, he keeps rolling his own cigarettes, and you see him like sucking on them to seal the paper, right? And when they were doing the John Carpenter remake, the actor who plays Windows,
Yes.
the operator,
And he's rolling his own cigarettes. Yeah.
but it's funny because the cigarettes that Windows was rolling was actually like joints. So
Yeah.
they were like that original guy seemed high a lot, so we're just gonna make him high.
I dig it. I
The
dig it.
remake.
Okay, so we got to talk
Vader
about.
a cigarette while.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Let's take a look at your cigarette. What kind of cigarette you got there?
I don't know. This is like some
I gave him
sage
a
shit.
Winston.
This is
That's
like
one hell of-
this is like a goddamn
Dude, do the Elon Musk.
This is a Snoop
Do the
Dogg
Elon Musk.
blunt.
We'll make a thing out of it.
I'm really jonesing right now. I'm not gonna lie.
This is-
I'm really fucking jonesing for a Marlboro right now.
Every time Kadish and I get into a fight, I have to sage the house.
I want to go out
Get
back.
rid of
and-
the bad energy.
yeah,
Hold on. Oh, that's
yeah.
a pic- this is a picture.
The chat is going crazy right
The
now.
chat. I love the chat.
I love it. I love you guys.
SaltyNerdDiscord.com, guys,
Yeah.
if you want in on this live
The
chat.
fucking
This is the place to
yeah. Wilma and Fred smoking a fucking.
Ooh, is that
Marlboro
Rita Hayworth? I
is the
fucking love
best
her.
ever.
be.
Yeah,
There you go, baby. All right,
it was so sexy back then.
the scene where
I want to live in a day when cigarette smoking was just, it's just what you
thing.
did.
This is what
it
you
was
did.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I love
You could just walk
everywhere.
up to a person if he didn't offer
Hey.
you a cigarette, he
Yeah.
was
You
rude.
got a cigarette? Yeah, of course I do, sir. Here you go.
It didn't cost $18 for a pack of
Yeah.
cigarettes.
Now, if somebody walks up to you and he's like, "Can I have a cigarette, bro?" He's
You're
fucking
like,
on meth.
Now get the
I'm
fuck
like,
outta
you're
here.
like, "Bro,
Do you need a job? Do you want me to get you some water?
get away from me. I have a child.
Get away from me, you nicotine using loser.
Oh shit!
Oh, how times have changed.
Oh,
All right, we got to talk about the scene where she ties him up,
Yes.
and they have this little
What,
back
she
and
tied
forth.
him up? What?
You didn't remember this?
I don't.
Well,
Do you want to
there's this
reenact it?
there's this little back and forth where they're like, well, maybe next time I'll bring some rope, and she's like, why don't you? And he's
It
like,
goes on for
yeah,
a minute,
yeah,
too.
and she's like, are you serious? And he's like, of course I'm serious.
So it starts with he was like blackout drunk and he doesn't remember anything that happened the last time when they were together. And she's like, well, I thought maybe you were an octopus. All the hands you were trying to like, all the hands you like all of a
I've
sudden
never
had.
seen so many hands in my life.
Yeah. And he's like, well, the next time we get together,
To bring some rope.
you can tie me up. And she was like, oh, I'll have to bring some rope. And he's like, yeah, bring some rope.
And then they literally,
She's
the
like-
next scene.
She's like, I'm serious. Are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm fucking serious. Are you fucking serious? And the next scene, she's
tied up.
She's feeding him a glass
Whiskey.
of alcohol.
Yes.
And his hands are tied behind his back, and it's the sexiest fucking thing I've ever seen.
She's giving him like hand holding, sipping him alcohol as his hands are tied
She's
behind
like,
a chair.
"Sip, sip,
And they're
sip,
having
sip,
this
sip."
like super sexual conversation. And then
He's sitting down and she's standing over him and she's like feeding him the alcohol and he's just like, yes, mistress.
that's some sexy shit right
I
there.
know. You're right.
And
She
then-
might be a redhead.
And then he reveals that he was never tied up to begin with, and he undoes it, and he starts lighting his cigarette.
It's not till he needs a cigarette.
And then he lights a cigarette, and she's like, "How long have you been untied for?" And he's like, "A while."
But I let you do that.
Oh my god, dude, I love this movie.
It's consensual.
It's pretty wild, right?
It's a wild
I
movie.
like this
dude.
movie now more.
I don't even give a shit about
I love
the
this-
alien.
I love this movie more now than I did when I watched it
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I'm wasted.
yeah.
I want to see what
it's fun.
happens next with Pat
I-
and Nikki.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about the alien. That whole storyline is like, whatever, fine.
The alien was literally Frankenstein.
It was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how they killed him was they like electrocuted him or
his
some
ass.
shit.
So
Kind of.
I want to point out that there's a scene in this movie. I think it's actually the best scene in the movie where the military guys kind of like figure out, fire can kill this thing. And so they come up with an idea to like, douse it with kerosene and then light it on fire. And there's a scene where it breaks into like the barracks area and they instantly just like throw like Molotov cocktails at it or something like that.
Yeah.
And the fire just goes everywhere. And you got to remember, that was all done practically.
There's no CGI there.
Yeah.
No CGI there. And this was the first ever instance of a live burn of a human being.
Really?
In the movie. Like they invented that.
Really?
They invented that stunt for this movie.
That's pretty
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's neat.
So this is the first time that we ever saw like an actual like stunt person catch on fire.
I feel privileged
do
to
the
having
live
watched
burn.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I had
In
no
addition
idea.
to it being like, I think the first movie who was like
We're gonna light shit on fire.
No, Alien Takeover. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think this is
and-
the first time that was done.
That's really cool.
And this movie was really groundbreaking for its time, and it was pushing a lot of envelopes.
Yeah.
Like we watch it nowadays, and it's just kind of like, eh. But at the time that it came out, it was like it was really like innovative, and that was kind of the genius behind Howard Hawks. Was like he was always kind of pushing the envelope. Like he spent a lot of money on this movie. He only made 2 movies under his production banner. So it was kind of interesting to see how times have changed compared to like when this movie came out. But that was probably my favorite scene in the movie because just like from a cinematography
There's a lot
point,
of fire.
yeah, from a cinematography point, like the way that they shot it, like it gets super dark, right? And so like the fire is very prominent in those shots, but you can still see everything that's happening, which is really surprising. But you can tell like the exposure changes as soon as the fire happens, and that's because the fire was freaking real.
I have to
That's super
admit,
cool.
I watched this movie over two days. I started the first 30 minutes of it and I fell asleep because it was really late. And then I knew I had to finish it last night. So I came home after work and I turned it on in my office. And all of a sudden it started getting really interesting. The first 30 minutes is kind of like,
It's
whatever.
introduction for everybody.
Yeah.
Is this one of your live watches that you do in Discord?
No. Well, I just knew I needed to get this thing watched because we were talking about it today. And the last it got super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because the first 30 minutes I was super bored.
The middle kind of
But
drags.
yeah, it does. But once it gets going, it's kind of funny. It's like I feel like the movies in the 1950s they didn't have the special effects back then.
Yeah.
So they had to.
Just had like a guy. We'll build up his forehead.
Yeah. And they had to have like dialogue. They had to have something to put on the screen. You know what I mean? Because like today, we can all like watch a movie for 2 hours or 3 hours even.
There's very little dialogue.
The script's like this thick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas I bet the script for this movie is like this thick because there's a lot of dialogue in this thing.
We should also point out the opening credits. Like, it was very unusual for a movie to start without having like a credit crawl where they like list all the actors and stuff. And this thing, they practically shot this thing where like they melted out the words for the thing. And it's probably one of the coolest like opening titles for like a movie I've seen from this time period.
I need The Thing t-shirt.
We can make that happen.
I think the thing itself is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
In this movie.
In this movie,
it's just a dude in a suit.
It's ludicrous.
With a big forehead.
It's probably Lon Chaney.
So
if he was still alive.
They spent the equivalent of $300,000 on the makeup effects for the thing.
They barely showed it.
And the reason that they never like showed close-ups of it was because the end design of the thing was so bad, everyone was embarrassed about it. And so they were like, let's just keep them dark and we'll like shoot them from like far away.
And
it'll look
I feel like that works better when you keep it ambiguous, like Jaws.
Yeah.
I like it when you don't always see the monster.
Yeah.
You guys ready to do final thoughts?
Sure.
I think so.
Yeah? All right. V, give it a rating. What's your final thoughts for this one? For the
rating,
1951s.
Part of this movie dragged a little bit.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed the relationships in this movie. The news guy, the army guy, the scientist, the
alpha chick.
The alpha chick.
Yeah.
God, I love her.
I do too.
I want to marry her.
She's right there.
Settle down.
She's like the perfect woman. She's sexy. She's hot. She's got.
She can outdrink you.
She comes with some problems. Let me just tell you.
You know, everybody's got their role. The supporting.
She already has a kid.
You know, it's like I love her. I love her. You know,
Kay just married her.
She reminds me a lot of my wife.
To next November.
She reminds me a lot of my wife. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, oh, that's
it's
great.
Like
man.
my wife is an alpha. Okay,
She is.
I like alpha chicks.
She is.
I'm not gonna
You
lie.
don't fuck with Story.
You
like,
do not fuck with my wife.
Don't fuck with her.
She will fuck your day up.
Yeah.
Right, and I appreciate that. That's what I like about her.
Yeah.
My wife is a redhead. Okay, redheads fuck your day up if you piss them off. Okay, it's just the way it is. You know.
Also,
they're from a different planet.
As a redhead,
they really are.
When you hang out with another redhead,
Yeah.
Is their powers combined?
Yeah.
We become Voltron.
It's very strange. But I like alpha women, and I like this movie. It drags a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna knock it down a little bit because it is dragging. But I appreciate the 1951 of this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of, well, listen here, you see, and blah, 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 and we're going to go do this and here, and blah, blah. You know,
there's a whole scene where they describe what they're doing with the airplane. They're like, flaps down, 25 degrees. There's like 15 minutes of them landing an airplane.
It's like, we're talking on a radio, see, and we're going to do like 15 pages of the script, just me talking on a radio.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different era. You know, and if you just like, you kind of like got to, you have to compartmentalize the time. It's like this movie's getting close to being 75, 100 years old, whatever. What is 51? It's like, yeah, 75, 70 something years old, right? Different time, different era. And I'm going to give this movie 3 stars.
Okay.
I think that's a good, maybe 3.5, somewhere in there. It's a classic. And it has spawned so many great sequels. It just was an interesting thing, and in and of itself.
No pun intended.
No, really, no pun intended. And yeah. I'm gonna go 3.5 stars.
All right, cool.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Okay.
It's pretty strong.
It was fun.
Okay.
Jude, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of factors here. So it's the first of its kind. So like it set the precedent. Me watching it in like this year, I thought it was really boring. I fell asleep. I had to watch it twice in order to like get all of it. but like talking about it after the fact, I appreciate it so much more for like it being the first to do several things, like the first alien takeover and the first like set a stunt man on fire and the first like I don't know if it was the first, but it was probably one of the first, and it definitely wasn't the norm. Like a strong female character who like the point of the character wasn't just that she was a woman, but she was just an awesome character.
The fact that she could outdrink the captain.
I love her.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I don't know if you caught this, but like her relationship with Pat Hendry, the main guy,
captain.
Captain. Her relationship with him, and he was like, something, try to kiss you, and she was like, you've never kissed me, and then she's the first one who kisses him when he's tied up. She's like, "Mrr." and then as they're leaving, then they have like the first consensual. Like she was sexually aggressive, and this was not the norm. So like it being the first movie to like kind of set these trends or like go against the norms, like I give it a lot of respect for it.
Yeah, you also have to remember that all the innuendo about what happened that night between them.
Yeah,
like in the 50s, the one night stands were not generally accepted.
Yeah. So it seems like they because she said you've never kissed me.
Yeah.
And I assume
so
that
he blacked out before anything happened.
That she wouldn't let him put it in without kissing her.
Put it in.
Yeah. But she says, he was like, why'd you do that to me? And she was like, well.
Because it was fun.
No, she says, your legs aren't pretty. She left a note on his chest that says, you have ugly legs or something like that to fuck with him. She's a legend.
I love her.
And she made sure that like all of his buddies saw the note before
he
he
was like, you could have put it in my pocket. And she was like, well, that wouldn't have been funny.
Yeah, no. Yeah. He's like, the whole Air Force read that before I even woke up.
It wasn't between me and you. It was between me and everyone talking about you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love her.
So for all of that, I want to give it a lot of credit. I guess I feel probably similarly to Vader. Like when I started talking, I was at a 3, but like giving it all of that credit, I'm gonna go 3.5. Massacred dogs. Because okay, that is the one thing I want to say. Like I don't fucking like, and I don't like it in either one of these. Is that the dogs had to die? I hate movies where the dog dies. So.
Noted.
3.25.
Okay.
Dead dogs.
All right, Cage, what's your final thoughts? Give it a rating.
So I can appreciate this movie from like a historical perspective in terms of like the history of cinema, the impact it had not only on future filmmakers, but also like science fiction in general. It is a boring movie for the most part. Jude and I both kind of like fell asleep in the middle of it when we were watching it.
On each other on the couch.
It's not a bad thing though.
It was cute.
Yeah.
His parents stayed up through the whole thing.
Yeah. Howard Hawks, his fingerprints are kind of like all over this thing. Like in the original book that this movie's based off of, it was all men. There were no women characters, and Hawks came in and he's like, you know what, we're going to put some dames in this thing. And, he also kind of like, really pushed the edge of what was capable for the time period. And it's a very technically interesting movie to watch. So yeah, it has its good and its bad. Watching it from a 2022 standpoint, it definitely has its kind of like nostalgic charm for like those yesteryear type things. But overall, like I just thought it was kind of meh. So like I'm going to give it 2 stars.
Okay.
Wow, dude. 2 stars.
I didn't care about the alien in this movie.
Yeah.
I was so much more interested in having fun with the relationships of all the people. I love the journalist because he is like first and foremost a journalist. Like he doesn't give a shit what the army wants. He's like, no, I'm here to tell.
Like, First Amendment, bitches.
Yeah. Free speech, motherfucker. Like I love that guy.
Yeah.
Like
I forgot to talk about him when I was giving my final thoughts. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
He's definitely a needle-nosed pencil pusher for sure. But I love that he's tasking it to the freaking army, right? He's like, I'm gonna fucking tell this story whether you want me to or not. The people deserve to know. Like I love that.
And at the same
guy.
time, he's like, do I have clearance?
Yeah. Fuck your clearance.
Don't forget to ask him if I can have clearance.
Can I come along?
Yeah.
Can I come along? This sounds like fun. I want to come.
And then when he has his opportunity, and they're like, "Take your picture now," and he just faints.
Well, I do like what he gets on
Red.
he gets on the radio and he's like, "Is there any newsmen out there?" And he's like, "They're all listening, sir." And he's like, "All right, let me tell you a story."
Yeah.
Great moment
At the end.
Yeah, at the end.
Oh,
Great moment.
yeah. He comes in like all chest
Yeah.
pumped, and he's like, "I'd like to introduce you to Captain Pat Healy, but unfortunately, he's recovering from his wounds
All right. So
during the battle."
Let me tell you a story about the world versus the aliens.
I give it a 3.5. You give it a what?
3.25.
What? And 2?
2. I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well.
3.5. Okay.
It's solid, fun movie. I love the relationships of the characters more than I like the alien aspect of it.
Yeah.
I did not know that this was the first time they've ever lit somebody on fire on screen.
Pretty cool.
That's an extra point for sure.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Because legitimately, there's no CGI in there. They were literally throwing freaking gasoline on this guy.
I think the thinking about it after you've watched it is better than the actual watching of it.
I tend to agree. All right, guys, that's it for the original The Thing from Another World.
From another world.
From Another World. Well, they added it on the title.
Remember in Twilight Zone, it was like,
Actually, this was the name of the original movie.
Yeah.
The one we're going to talk about in a minute took that off.
But it's The Thing from Another World.
it was The Thing, but they had to add From Another World because there was also a popular
Because there was another song
called The Thing.
Right.
I guess they
What
call
was the
it
song?
The Thing.
The Thing.
Yeah. So in
Never heard it.
in the original book, the book was called Who Goes There? And in the book, they just referred to the alien as The Thing. And so that was the inspiration for the title for this movie. And then when the song was out, Howard Hawks decided to append, the rest of the title to this movie. But when they did the remake, they're like, we're just going to go with The Thing.
All right.
All right. I'm
like
pulling up the Thing song.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
We'll
my
listen to it in a
Spotify.
minute. If you guys want to get access to that, go to saltynerdclub.com. That's where we have all of our bloopers, extra material, stuff that we talk about behind the scenes. saltynerdclub.com. Join up, $5 a month. Plus, you get Twilight Zone. That is exclusive to club members. That is
And,
not being released at all for the public. The original 1960s Twilight Zone TV show. We're breaking down 5 episodes of that show this month. So if you want access to that, help support us at the podcast and have a ton of fun. We also have done Star Trek. We've done Doctor Who. We've done Stargate Atlantis. We've done a ton of classic sci-fi shows.
We've done a lot now.
We've having a lot of fun on the club members area. So join up, saltynerdclub.com. Matt Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find Matt Vader at Matt Vader 74.
Did he just refer to himself in the third
did.
person?
So let me tell you something, jabroni. You can find the Matt Vader at Matt Vader 74 on the Twitter and all the other social medias.
You can smell what the Matt Vader's
You
cooking.
can smell what the Matt Vader's cooking.
And we should point out that the Matt Vader is now a blue check mark on Twitter.
Did you?
$8.
$8 for a blue check mark?
$8.
I am not spending.
Totally worth it.
I'm not spending the money.
I do. The edit feature alone is worth the $8.
They have an edit feature?
Yeah.
I don't use Twitter enough.
Yeah. So you can find me at Matt Vader 74.
All right, cool. Jude,
on the things.
Jude, where can they find you at?
You can find us on Facebook at saltynerdgroup.com, and you can find me on the socials at I am Jude Juju.
All right. Matthew Kadish, take it away.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, where I was a blue check mark before it was cool. And you can also find us at kadishbooks.com. And if you have an Apple device, please go to Apple Podcasts and give our podcast a 5-star rating. We're trying to get up to 200 5-star ratings so we can be officially accredited as movie reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you guys help us do that, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, they won't let us buy it yet.
Yeah.
We need you.
All right, guys. Don't forget to support the channel at saltynerdclub.com. Or if you just want to like and subscribe to this channel, that'd be great too. We have a ton of content coming out, and we would love your support and your comments and all that other cool stuff. And don't forget, saltynerdiscord.com. That is where the party happens. We do watch parties. We do trivia parties. We do live streams. We do all kinds of really cool stuff on our Discord app. So head over there. It's a great community. We're growing. We're pushing 300 members now, which is awesome.
What?
Yeah, I know, that's crazy. So head over there, saltynerdiscord.com. If you don't know how to use Discord, download it and we'll tell you.
Yeah.
I promise, it's not that hard. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching the video. We will see you next week. Stay salty, my friends.